What's up, everybody? Foch here. I'm here with Maz. Maz, what are we doing today?
Today, we're smoking the Romeo y Julieta Vintage.
Let's get into it.
Let's go.
So, Maz, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had this cigar in probably 2 decades. I mean, this is almost like a blind tasting for me.
With all the new great product out there, you know, I always say, like, there's never been a better time to be a cigar enthusiast as it is today, right? There's so many great new blends. And, you know, this is a cigar that I used to enjoy many, many years ago, right? It's been around for a long time, the Romeo y Julieta Vintage, or Romeo y Julieta, depending how you say it. But the Vintage series, for sure, is one of the ones I think it takes a back seat to the 1875 original blend, right? And there's so many new kind of like variations of it. Like AJ Fernandez now makes a lot of different Romeo and Julietas, and there's different concepts of it. But I think that this Vintage series, it's nostalgic. Anytime I smoke like a classic Dominican blend, it reminds me of my earlier days smoking cigars, because Dominican tobacco dominated the scene. You know, today is much different. The landscape of premium cigars have changed dramatically, where a lot of the tobacco comes from Nicaragua, which we love as well, but just obviously phenomenal tobacco in the Dominican Republic. So yeah, this is almost like a blind tasting of sorts based upon how long it's been since we both have had this cigar together, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you know, this is obviously a Dominican blend. When I first lit it, believe it or not, I got a huge blast of spice, which I don't remember when I smoked it back in the day.
Right.
I mean, do you get that?
I definitely got the same thing. You know, the makeup of the cigar, Ecuadorian shea wrapper, Mexican and Dominican fillers. But I attribute that blast of spice that we both got to the Mexican binder, which is known for flavor and also combustion, right? And it definitely brings me back to when I first started smoking cigars. And obviously, we've been together for a really long time. So doesn't it kind of like remind you of like when you first started smoking cigars, you know?
Absolutely. When I first started smoking cigars, I lit up something on the milder side, whether it be, you know, an Ashton, Don Lino. But this cigar here is excellent. I mean, it's got a lot of complexity.
Yeah. By the way, not to interrupt you, you just brought like a blast from the past. You said Don Lino. It was a great old blend, and you know, it's been consistent through the years. But like you talk about our beginnings in cigars, and it's funny. Like we always talk about how cigars could bring you back to a time, even if it's 20 years ago. 30 years ago. Not only does it bring you back to like when you first started smoking from a cigar smoking experience, but it brings back this like flood of memories from our old shop, right? When I say our old shop, you know, I had the shop, you and I worked side by side for so many years. But when we first started in the industry, this blend, this type of blend was very typical for the industry.
Absolutely.
And it's evolved over the years, but it's always nice to kind of revisit. It's like going home, you know? Like, it's like you live on your own for the longest time, and then you go back home and you go back into your own little bedroom and your bed, and you look around and you get settled into your own bedroom. There's something familiar about it that's very like warming and nostalgic about it. So it's funny how like when you say that to people, they're like, oh, that's dramatic, it's silly. But in reality, all these memories from us working together over the years flood back to me when I smoke a cigar like this, because it's definitely a nostalgic taste, and it brings me back to a time where, you know, obviously where I was, you know, extremely happy.
Yeah.
We had great times in the past, for sure.
Great, you know, great memories.
Right.
You know, great friends.
Right, and obviously I'm extremely happy now. We have people say it out there all the time. They're like, you guys have the best job in the world, and I agree with that. I mean,
100%.
We sit back, right? We enjoy cigars. We enjoy sharing information. But it is really crazy how like a cigar could just bring you back 20, 25 years and put you right in a moment, like right there. I could just imagine us sitting back at the old shop, hanging out with our friends, enjoying cigars. But this type of blend was so prevalent back then that it brings me right back to that moment.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about with cigars. So Foch.
Yep.
What are you getting out of this blend? You know, again, it's like a blind tasting, so this is really good.
Yeah.
You know, unlike our guessless cigar, we know what the cigar is. But what are you getting from this cigar?
After I initially lit it up and obviously got that big blast of spice, you know, being an inch in, I definitely get that smooth, creamy note that you're going to get with that Ecuadorian wrapper.
Right.
But I get a lot of wood, a lot of cedar.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that's vintage, which is, obviously it's in the name, vintage. When you think about it, there's not a lot of vintage Dominican tobacco out there now, because obviously things are definitely slanted towards more Nicaraguan stuff. But that vintage style Dominican taste is not very prevalent today. So when I taste this, it is definitely very different from probably the normal repertoire what we normally smoke, outside of a few selections. Right? But I definitely get like that almost creamy note to it, but older tobacco definitely has a distinct flavor to it. It's very different from just a mild to medium bodied cigar that's presented today.
Right.
I mean, it says vintage for a reason. It's been laid down for a long time.
Right, and which gives it a lot of complexity.
A lot of character. When you come up with a blend that's meant to be aged for a long period of time, there'll be more Ligero in that tobacco because, you know, the manufacturer and the blenders, they want it to withstand age, but they want it to be complex, right? Nuanced, round flavors. So if they made it too mild, if they didn't put enough like Ligero in it, that blend would flatten out way too quick, so it wouldn't stand up to the aging process.
Right.
When you have a cigar like the Romeo y Julieta Vintage, it's blended purposely to be laid down and then to be enjoyed. So I get a lot of like light roast coffee with this too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. This cigar is not mild by no means. I mean, it's definitely leaning, you know, more medium.
Definitely medium.
With a lot of flavor. You know, that spice is still there. The wood is still there. You know, I think they did a phenomenal job on, you know, blending the cigar.
Yeah, and getting back to that cedary note too, which it's really thriving in this. Aside from the aging process of the tobacco, once it goes into a box, you know, it sits there for a while, you know, so that whole cedary note, it definitely comes from, you know, that aging process. So, but yeah, definitely more medium body.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's funny because like back in the day when we used to smoke the cigar, I don't know why, in my mind, it was always kind of like milder than it is
Yeah, I
now.
definitely don't remember it being as complex or, you know, as flavorful as this cigar is today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a lot milder.
Yeah.
I mean, it still had flavor, but it was subdued.
Yeah, I guess in our mind it was just like, you know, it was supposed to be. You look at a cigar and you smoke with your eyes. And you
Right.
look at this nice, beautiful blonde wrapper, and you think to yourself, definitely mild, but it definitely has more going on. So, you know, that's what you want in a cigar, though. You know, you want something that's going to have a lot of character. We always talk about, like, even when we've done our, like, you know, cigars for beginners or milder cigar selections, all the videos we've done, we don't want something that's just going to be mild, but we want something to be, like, has character, right? That has body to it. Because I think the true art in making a mild cigar to medium body cigar, or medium body cigar, which I think this is definitely medium, it has to have character. So blending a cigar is definitely an art. We talk about it all the time. But this cigar is definitely way different than I remember it years ago. So I like the fact that we're doing this kind of exercise and revisiting a blend that we haven't done in a while. I mean, hats off to the guys behind the camera because they chose this, you know, this tasting today for us. They said, you know what, guys, we're going to do a review of the Romeo y Julieta Vintage. And right away, I was thinking to myself, man, I haven't had the cigar in so long.
Yep.
You know, I don't know what I'm going to say about it, but the good news is I didn't know what I was going to say about it.
It's true.
We both thought the same thing. So hat tip to the guys behind the camera because you kind of like egged us on to try a blend that we haven't had in a long time. And that's really a lesson for people out there. Like if you haven't had something for a long time and you forget what it tastes like and you have these kind of thoughts in your head of what it is, you don't know until you go back and you really try it.
Right.
Because I have to say I'm surprised by it and I'm pleasantly surprised by this blend today.
Yeah, no,
I really think it's really good.
I'm glad they chose this cigar. It's probably become one of my favorite blends in the Romeo and Julieta line.
Yeah, and you think about it, like from when we first started in cigars, the Romeo y Julieta brand has grown exponentially over the years.
Yep.
And to go back and revisit a blend and for that blend to still resonate with you and be like, this might be my favorite now. And I know sometimes we have recency bias what we're smoking. We say, oh, this is the best. But I tend to agree with you. This is a phenomenal blend. It stood the test of time.
Absolutely.
It's an iconic name in the cigar industry, Cuban, non-Cuban. But you know, we grew up, we cut our teeth on smoking the Dominican version of the cigar. And this vintage blend is exceptional, because let me tell you something, it opened my eyes again to what a phenomenal blend this is.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So I want to thank you for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, but before we depart, make sure you hit that like button.
Smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you here next time.